The people that Trump is picking to run our government are coming into our government to rig the rules to help themselves. Period, stop. That's what's going on. Take this guy, Paul Atkins, Wall Street's dream candidate to run the SEC. The SEC is supposed to be our watchdog that makes sure that Wall Street isn't abusing and hurting regular people. Guess who Paul Atkins is? He's a cryptocurrency advocate who argues for the massive deregulation of Wall Street, including cryptocurrency, so that he and all his investor friends can make billions of dollars. He's not a consumer advocate. He doesn't care about the rest of us. He argues to deregulate Wall Street so that he and his friends can make tons of money. He's in Wall Street now, and guess where he'll be after he leaves the SEC? Wall Street. Paul Atkins is just one example of all of the people that Trump is bringing into government for the explicit purpose of rigging the rules to help themselves. Billionaires and Mar-a-Lago hangers-on, that's who's going to be running the Trump administration to help themselves and to screw all of the rest of us. It's going to happen at the SEC. It's going to happen all over government once Trump is in power.
Oh man, oh man. So welcome well done, high fidelity. High fidelity. High fidelity. High fidelity. I was gonna say some of that ganja might have had something to do with that high fidelity intro. Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. Usually I say not so chill, but you know what? Tonight we're going to do the best we can to mix and match some chill and not so chill. I'm Heidi Kuda. I'm here with my two of my favorite people in the world, Jim Stewart's and High Fidelity. We've been working hard for more than 3 years to bring you as much good information as we can about disinformation, about the fascist creep, about all the things. And happy holidays, as you can see. We didn't actually plan this. I just saw Jim and High Five with the hats on, and I went and grabbed mine, and voila. So yeah, we are going to be showing highlights from episode 121, which is with Dr. Michael MacKay, geopolitical analyst on the first decade of World War III. I can't wait for you guys to hear the clips, because one of the things that I learned from Dr. MacKay and from working with Jim and High Five is America is just one of 22 countries that are targeted with hybrid warfare active measures. And as we've said often on the show, if we just called it war, we'd have to do something about it. But bottom line, we're not unique. This is part of a world war, and we are going to do everything in our power to expose the kind of like, I don't know, like these sort of predictable fascists behind this war. So hi Jim, hi High Five. Who wants to go? Who wants to start?
I can't see a goddamn thing with these glasses on, so I'm going to change. And you go ahead. I'll be right back.
All right. Out of respect for anyone who may have epilepsy or anything, I'll make them not flash. How about
Okay, because I was
Just
going to say,
stay lit, brother. Stay lit.
yeah,
that? I'll stay lit, but
I do very much like the shiny object. You know, I like to look at the shiny object. So,
I know, but I
yeah.
just don't want to. I don't want to give any.
Although Hi-Fi's head, shiny object.
This first shit is hot. I'm done with that.
Oh, come on, Hi. Can't you just jauntily put it on the side a little bit, just like a little, you know? All right. That
All
is
right, we got it. We got
hilarious.
it.
All right. Good times with Rad Pod. Jim, what's going on? Oh, before you say anything, I really want to talk about your new birther rumor because I think it's magnificent. Can you break it down, brother?
I mean, it's not a rumor exactly, but I would like to. I just was reminded that Donald Trump spent, and still up till this year, has spent, I don't know, 15 years or something, saying that, oh no, Obama is from Africa. He's not American. He wasn't born here, so he can't be president. So what happens yesterday? Donald Trump cedes the presidency to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was fined, by the way, if you missed it. There was a continuing resolution that was bipartisan in the House that had things like cancer research and mostly disaster rescue funds, as well as just keeping the government open and available for Donald Trump to fuck it up in a couple of months. But they decided that, well, Elon Musk, and that's important, Elon Musk kicked his little feet. He screamed and had a fit. He said, stop the steal, kill the bill, over and over and over, 150 tweets.
Wow.
And eventually, J.D. Vance, who is, by the way, far closer to Elon Musk than Donald Trump, which will become important strategically.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk stood his little feet and he said, no, we can't have this. We cannot have all this woke spending on pediatric cancer research and hurricane relief. Stop it. Shut it down. Shut it down. And so Elmo Trump, yes, you're right. By the way, if we're going to have a shutdown, and he said this out loud, we should have it under a Democratic president, because he didn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck whatsoever. That under in no circumstance have any of these people mentioned the American people at any time. Literally none of them. It's all about who's going to be in charge of what. Anyway, so it occurred to me that since Donald Trump had been spending years and years spreading rumors falsely that somebody was disqualified to make decisions like a president would if they're not born in America, and the founders did that very good. Where's his birth certificate? We wanted Obama's birth certificate for fucking years, man. Years and years. Where's the birth certificate? He's from Kenya. He's a Muslim. Barack Hussein Obama. Over and over again. So I have a simple request. If Donald Trump is going to hand his presidency to this half-trillionaire oligarch Nazi or whatever, then I want to see his birth certificate. I want to see it. I want to see exactly where he was born, where it comes from, and I want him to carry it around and show people. Be proud of the fact that you were born in South African apartheid and only left it because you were too chicken shit to go into the South African military.
Wow.
Anywho, so this guy comes over here and wants to take over. I feel like we need to fight fire with fire. So I have been spending a little bit of time replying to Elon Musk when he makes his various and sundry declarations. And I just ask, please, Mr. President-elect Musk, could you please provide the American people with the birth certificate so we can dispel these terrible, terrible rumors that you're actually an African immigrant? We can't have that in America. So, simple request. Anywho, that's it.
Well done. Well done. And that should be where High Fidelity queues up.
Actually, no, I
I'm
need to
waiting
specify
for
something.
the howl and the all right.
I was going to specify that we need to make sure to get his long form birth certificate.
Ooh.
Anything else is unacceptable.
Ooh.
Yes. And that's important, long form, because we need to see.
We need everything. We need
Yeah.
everything.
Right.
I would like to see DNA tests, not just for Elon Musk, but his mother and his father and his stepsister and his father and his stepsister, stepmom's child.
Oh yeah.
Because if you can follow all of that, well,
yeah.
we talk about
No.
let
me simplify for those who may not know that. So here's the thing. Elon Musk's mom is Nazi. Literal. Actual Nazi. According to the man that impregnated her to have Elon Musk. Says out loud, no, seriously, these people were fucking Nazis. And this comes from a guy who exploited black slave labor for decades with emerald mines. One of the most racist, misogynist pieces of shit on earth says that his ex-wife is a Nazi.
Wow.
Out loud. Like, no, seriously, like Nazis. Like,
all right, but can we talk about how much we should trust his judgment?
No, he's got more. He's got more.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it matters. There's a reason why the founders said, no, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't have, people from other countries who were born in other places who may have been instilled with other values from other societies that we don't agree with. They should probably not be the goddamn president and making decisions like this. Yeah. Last thing, in case you guys didn't know, they are proposing Elon Musk to be Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
And guess who the person who first put this genius idea? First of all, Dave Troy predicted this shit 36 hours ago.
Yeah.
He followed Dave. He always figures this shit out.
Actually, you can find him. What's his news site? Do you remember? I'll look.
America 2.
Yeah.
America
2.0. Yeah. America 2.0.
News.
No, it's just America2.news is the website. I believe.
Great.
Anyway, so Dave predicted this shit, and now Rand Paul, the most Russian senator. I think. By the way, Mike Lee, in case you didn't know, is like balls out, masks off, Nazi Russian orc. Like, wow. It's crazy.
It's not even subtle.
He's neck and neck with Rand Paul, who's been, who was pro Putin invading Crimea 10 years ago, has been, which, by the way, was part of the subject matter of our amazing interview with Dr. Michael MacKay.
Cannot
back
wait.
to you, Heidi.
Thank you, Jim. And before we go on, because I do want to get to Michael's clips, so we can talk about all the richness around what he schooled us on, and also save some time for where we should be pressuring our leaders. As I was able to talk about yesterday on Tom Hartman's show, I repeated some of the messaging from Michael, which we're going to hear about tonight, but also added the fact that we should be pressuring the Biden administration and our Justice Department to release the fucking list of 600 pro-Kremlin influencers of different, everything from reporters to politicians to think tank analysts to comedians to veterans of our military. There is a list that we should have access to. And as we talked about a few weeks ago on the show, under oath, Justin Trudeau said that Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson were among those who were doing the pro-Kremlin propaganda that would have been on this list. And the list I'm referring to, you will find more details about that in a piece I wrote at Betty Dangerous called Nuclear Psychosis, but you can also find out about it by reading the 277-page Doppelganger affidavit, which talks about why we seized 32 sites, news domains that were mimicking sites from the West to try to plant pro-Kremlin talking points. This all seems so quaint. It happened in September, and it seems so quaint. And we were told by a contact that is allied with NATO that the Biden administration decided, that they weren't going to talk much about, Russian interference so as not to really gum up the works on the election. And here we are, weeks away from a fascist takeover of America. And, I'm not going to stop talking very loudly about all the things we could be doing. So, yeah.
All these Russians are, like Mike Lee, go on Benny Johnson's show.
Jesus.
And still sometimes Tim Pool.
Wow.
But Benny Johnson is the most Russian piece of shit out there. And in that FBI affidavit, which is amazing, but the short version is this: the Russian government, specifically Russian intelligence, connected to RT, Russia Today, laundered at least $10 million through this shell company called Tenet Media, which employed Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Lawrence Southern, I can't remember, Dave Rubin, who weirdly invited me on his show a week before. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks, Dave.
No, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was weird. So anyway, they're identified as having received up to $100,000 per video. And in the affidavit were all sorts of details about the psychological operation that all of these people that they were paying this laundered Russian money were being part of. And the algorithm was very simple. And it had to do with augmented reality is what they called it. Alternate reality, another term for it, which meant that they were creating a different reality for people designed to divide America and point people towards voting for the chaos candidate of Donald Trump. And they knew, and they said it right in the thing. None of this is all bullshit. We know it's lies, but that's the point. It says it all right in there. Anyway, our DOJ and our FBI decided that they were victims. They were victims in this. They did. Poor Tim Pool and Benny Johnson could never have possibly known that the Russians were involved. And so all we did was charge the goddamn Russians in Russia, who will never see any.
Not the people taking the money and smelling the bullshit.
Maybe they can't travel on vacation to the U.S. or something. But there were no other sanctions whatsoever on anybody in America for this unbelievable, enormous intelligence calamity. And we didn't even give them a slap on the wrist. We just let them.
No, they're still out there. Just for the record, Elon Musk boosts all of these accounts, boosts Tenet Media, boosts Tim Pool. Every single time we find out someone's being paid by the Russians, you can just go do a timeline search on Twitter and see all of Elon Musk's interactions with all of these accounts. And it's important to note that if you go to Watch Tenet Now, TENET, on Twitter, you will see it's still up there, frozen in time, September 4th, from when this indictment occurred. And it's also very important to know there was a flurry of activities, this affidavit from the FBI, which basically showed not only the scale of this operation, but that, we found out Elon Musk was also, having meetings with the person who was running the operation for the doppelgangers, and that they were directly related to Putin. And we found out that, through the Tenet Media indictment, we learned that these RT employees who've been indicted by our Justice Department were in direct contact with Russian military intelligence. And again, I say, America is not special. Russia's been doing this to nearly 24 countries, 22 countries we know of for sure. That's what we got from Dr. MacKay, just off the top of his head. And so for us to not be addressing it in any meaningful way, and what did Dr. MacKay say? First, we've been saying for years, acknowledge the information war. Let people know this is not a time of peace. This is actually a time of war. What else can Biden do, which we're going to talk about? Say, support Ukraine in NATO. What else can he do? Declare Russia a terrorist state, right? What was the other thing that he suggested that we do? Let Ukraine do what it needs to do with the weapons it has. Lift the restrictions. Like, you know what I mean? Like Hi-Fi had said, when he was talking to me yesterday before the Hartman interview, enough with the baby steps, time to swing some punches. And, you have all the fifth columnists going, oh, nuclear blackmail. All the baby mamas live in the West. All the money's been laundered in the West. All the yachts are in the West. All the football teams these oligarchs own are in the West. It's like this nuclear willy waving, as Keir Giles said, describes it, is not my concern. My concern is that, nobody wants to do anything to prevent fascism in America, which MAGA gonna hate too, by the way. So.
Well, so how to put this delicately? One of the people that was indicted by the DOJ was a former head of Rosatom. Rosatom was a company that Mike Flynn was trying to do a deal with to transfer nuclear secrets to the Saudis and the Russians. If anybody remembers, during the inauguration, Mike Flynn was getting text messages from Tom Barrack about this nuclear deal that was going to be done with this guy who was laundering millions and millions of dollars to Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and all these other people. I also note that, and this has gone away in the news cycle, but Igor Kirillov is the right tense, was a Russian general who was in charge of all of their non-conventional warfare,
Right.
to include radiological, chemical, and biological. And that's significant. That's a big deal. And by the way, the Ukrainian intelligence services are metal.
Yeah.
They're not quite, at Mossad. They can't blow up 1,500, whatever pagers all at the same time, but they can blow up a fucking general, and they did, and that's a good thing. They had a trial, and they said, look, this guy used chemical weapons on us, and he's a war criminal, and then they took care of business. But the thing that I think is really important to recognize about that is that they have radiological, chemical, and biological warfare. They really, like, a lot. They've been building these stockpiles of this shit for a long time. Where do you think Assad got all the goddamn chemical munitions that they were dropping on people?
Right.
Russia's been developing this stuff for a long time. By the way, smallpox, monkeypox, coronavirus, all the shit that we're talking
All
about.
the shit.
But also, most sort of frighteningly, many of the diseases that RFK Jr. has said that he wants to revoke vaccines for, right? Polio. Polio, right? When even like Foghorn Leghorn John Kennedy from Louisiana says, "This is bone deep stupid." I think is what he said. The worst dude ever says it's bone deep stupid. But that's the guy that they want to put RFK in charge of the HSS. Now, even worse, the CDC is a $65 billion conglomeration of research of the federal government. It is massive and critically important to our health as a society. And they're going to put Bhattacharya, maybe, who is literally just a Peter Thiel bot. He's an intellectual dark web herd immunity lunatic.
Right.
He believes.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in.
Perfect.
Solid.
He believes that COVID should have been cured by simply letting people get COVID as much as they want and then dying because that gives us herd immunity. Which, okay, it might have given us herd immunity, but there would be 2 or 3 million more dead people.
Yeah.
And remember, the Russians have spent years and years devaccinating America.
Yeah.
Mike Flynn spent the last 4 years devaccinating America intentionally.
Yeah.
Through QAnon, through ivermectin, through all of these psyops to make people afraid of vaccines at all, right? So we got bird flu. The governor of California just announced an emergency, and thank goodness for somebody paying attention.
Right.
But these guys are going to want to cure this by herd immunity if it starts really getting going in America, and it has a serious mortality rate.
Wow.
This is not COVID in terms of mortality rate. It's got a lot of people die, and so we're finding ourselves in a astonishing situation where the oligarchy wants to remove all the protections that we have, from vaccines to Social Security to Medicare to veterans benefits, all the stuff to pediatric cancer research. They want to remove all of this stuff away from us and control us.
Right.
It's that dark.
Yeah.
And the motivations behind them, and I'll stop here, but get even worse.
No, I mean, I just always go back to what my friend Jim Stewartson said the very first time I interviewed him, is literally when you were talking about the Peter Thiels of the world, you're like, man, if you're just like wealthy and you're king of the world, what do you need all these people for? And that was just so, that just rang so true. And we are seeing that they don't care about us. And so the thing that I keep thinking about is that lies are very brittle, and narrative warfare needs to continually be pumped and pumped and pumped in order to confuse and distress people. And when does it just topple? Nancy MacKay, our guest from 2 weeks ago, talked about the overstep. They will always abuse their power. They will always overstep. We have to be ready to offer something better. I do not feel like the Democrats are stepping into that. I think it's going to have to come from some outside pressure movement that is pro-democracy and patriotic in the way that actually shows that we not only care about our history, we care about democracy. We understand there's a judicial coup, and we clearly see that we are just one of a couple dozen countries that Russia does the same shit to. Not very inventive, but very effective. So when Michael MacKay was saying they do the same thing all the time, but America, you ain't special. You know, there's no American exceptionalism that prevents people from getting mind hacked, especially when no one is telling them it's going on. So I think when we frame it by looking at the fact that the rest of the world is, here it is, here's the quote from Jim. Because if you're rich, king of the world, what do you need all these people for?
Yeah, I mean,
hold on. I need to jump in here.
All right.
Something is really bothering me about this whole situation, right? And here's the thing. I have often told Heidi that, you know, science fiction was meant to be a warning. It was not meant to be a guide to dystopia.
Yeah.
And what we're looking at, if anybody has all these biological weapons, and obviously America is devaccinating,
yeah,
what you're going to experience is an onslaught of different diseases hitting you from all different angles. This whole fucking scenario with oligarchs and multiple communicable diseases wiping out large swaths of the population, depopulating the globe. William Gibson fucking did it in a book called The Peripheral. It's already been written, so it's not, oh, this is unimaginable. Somebody already thought it up, man. Right? So why would you be surprised if it didn't happen?
Well, can I let me build on that just briefly. I'm going to share this one thing, this screen here real quick. You see that?
Yeah.
So this Ian M. Banks, speaking of sci-fi, is his books, the Culture series, are literally what we're living in right now. Elon Musk is trying to recreate this science fiction world called The Culture by Ian M. Banks, and it's an interesting book series. He's a sort of anarchist socialist, right? And he's created, speaking of warnings, a society in the future that lives in spaceships and on Mars, that is controlled by artificial intelligence. And human beings are basically just sort of along for the ride, and we love it because we can be anything we want. We could have any drugs we want and do whatever the hell we want, although none of our opinions matter. It's actually these benevolent artificial intelligences. Now, how is this enforced? A chip in your brain. Now, the chip in your brain in this book series is called Neuralace. It's the thing that connects your brain stem to computers. Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink with a chip that it's putting in people's brains as we speak. Guess what it's called? Neuralace. You guessed it. Good for you. Literally trying to create this fucking like AI human hybrid Borg thing that's going to live on multiple planets, because if a meteor comes, then we're going to be multiplanetary, and that's all that matters. Well done.
Well done. Very nice.
And so this whole Mars shtick is about recreating this sci-fi universe that he made up on a fucking ketamine trip or something. And anyway, like the depths of this guy's depravity and the way that his own personal, like, messianic alternate reality is basically transforming itself into our actual reality is really, I mean, it's a historic, fascinating phenomenon, but also, as I wrote earlier today, in my opinion, the most dangerous threat to American democracy since 1861.
Thank you.
When, by the way, and I'll land, a bunch of white supremacist oligarchs tried to take over America. People forget
Shocking.
plantation owners were the oligarchs of the 19th century. They were. And the reason they were so upset by this whole abolition thing is because it was going to cost them a shitload of money because they didn't have slaves to do stuff for free. So, you know, in my view, that's what they want to bring us back to. They want to capture our labor, capture our resources, and dispense with this annoying democracy that's getting in their way.
Thank you, Jim. I have been, as we're talking, I've been retweeting some of the stuff from my archives, the interview that I referenced earlier with you, the brainwashed death cult, the gamification of conspiracy, as well as a lot of the Russian, indictments and findings that we learned about in September. And I think it's probably a pretty good time, unless you guys have anything else you need to, exhale on, to start seeing clips from Dr. Michael MacKay.
Hold on 1 second. I do have to throw something in because we were talking about how big of a nerd Elon Musk was and how he's like trying to institute science fiction. And the thing is, they're all fucking nerds, right? Like, oh my God. So Peter Thiel, what does he do? He names all of his companies where things are looking fucking creepy. He names them after shit
Yeah.
from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. I'm not making this up. People can look it up. It's out there. These people, they're god awful.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in.
Well, very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. People talk a lot about the incompetence of fascists, and there is that, but somebody like Peter Thiel, I mean, God, Jim, that video from last week, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is some scary stuff.
I don't, well, which one, but okay.
Well, not first of all.
How to respond to the CEO shooter?
The scary visage, the inability to be offended by murder.
That one. Yeah, where he just uttered for 90 seconds on the simplest question in the world.
Absolutely
where you
terrifying.
literally just go, murder's bad. And then you're done. And
Here's
you
the
win.
thing.
Congratulations, Peter Thiel. You did it. You got through a hard question. Not even a hard question. The easiest question ever. Murder is bad. You shouldn't do that. Instead, he goes, humana, for fucking 90 seconds.
He malfunctioned.
And then he did not once say murder is bad. He said that what you really should do is make a good argument. That's what he said after he didn't say don't murder people. And
yeah. There was to me there was some serious malfunctioning going on.
So much, and it was for a good reason. And I'll let last thing. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, David Sachs, they have no actual emotions. These are psychopaths.
Yeah, it's scary.
We've talked to a lot of psychologists, they have no emotions. So when somebody presents them with a moral dilemma, right, they don't have an immediate sort of feeling, oh, that's bad. Killing people's bad. So here's the solution to that, right? So they have to go through a whole intellectual exercise, including like, who's my audience? How will I get the most power out of this, right? It's a whole big, giant calculation. And, when they're put on the spot like that, they break. I think what we're about to see something very interesting, I think, with this cluster. And I have said over and over again to the Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries, and nobody listens to me anyway, but I'll say it again. Do not give a goddamned inch, not a single inch, not a fucking molecule. Do not move anywhere in their general direction at all. They own this shit. Do not fucking let them get away with anything. There was an agreement. They, because of President Dildo, decided all of a sudden, like, it doesn't apply anymore. No. That this is the time where every single thing that they do, we must resist. We cannot appease this anymore. I mean, they're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna appease, but I will say last thing, fascism does not stop on its own. It must be defeated. You have to beat it. You can't.
All right. Michael MacKay.
Putin brought in Paul Manafort to be a curator for Yanukovych, remade his image a little bit. And by 2010, and I was at that election as observer as well, Yanukovych defeated Yulia Tymoshenko. And I thought of that as and then after that, Yanukovych initiated the Lock Her Up movement regarding Tymoshenko and so on. And that'll be familiar to Americans from after the 2016 election and, well, actually during and after it. And I guess fast forward 4 years after that, 2013, 2014, Yanukovych suddenly pulled out of the European Union-Ukraine Association Agreement, which was the first step towards Ukraine becoming a member of the European Union, free trade and visa-free travel and things like this. And by the way, this and that led to Euromaidan, which then, because of brutal police crackdowns, morphed into the Revolution of Dignity. By the way, the same thing is happening in Georgia right now, because the Georgian Dream, the pro-Russian faction, summarily pulled out of Georgia's process of joining the European Union after they stole the election right there. So the Revolution of Dignity, as it became known, there were several days of million-plus crowds in Maidan, and it spread to other cities in Ukraine. Yanukovych lost control over the security forces. He never had control of the army. And he fled on February 20th, 2014, on instructions from Putin. He flew away from his equivalent of Mar-a-Lago in a helicopter. And the very same day, Putin launched the operation to invade Ukraine in Crimea. So he minted a medal for special operations forces to give the starting date of World War III, which we're in.
Michael MacKay, he fled the equivalent of Mar-a-Lago. He had the same groomer as Donald Trump, Paul Manafort. Wake the F up, everybody, and you're going to find Michael MacKay's work. He's been documenting the first decade of World War III daily at MHMCK on both Twitter and on Blue Sky. But yeah, wow, what a summary.
Can I, so the people wonder, like, how in the hell did we, reelect Donald Trump, right? Knowing what we know, having seen January 6th. I will remind people that Yanukovych's opponent, Poroshenko, was poisoned to the extent that his face was blue and disfigured for the rest of his life, and in some ways became almost a symbol of the resistance, right? Nevertheless, 6 years after Poroshenko gets poisoned in this gruesome, blatant way to intentionally disfigure him, they elect him anyway. And that wasn't a cheated election. They all acknowledge the Ukrainian people were conned. They were conned into voting for somebody who worked for Putin. Why? Because Putin and the Russian government are really, really good at this. And they simply took that here. That the thing about lock her up is really important, right? All of this is connected. Remember, Crimea, the reason why Putin was able to launch little green men into Crimea with zero peep from the United States government or the president until after it happened is because of Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn was the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency. And Mike Flynn said, don't worry about Putin. I know him. I know the GRU chief, and never do such a thing. And then they did. And then Mike Flynn got fired. And now he's back, by the way, communicating with Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, all these RFK. Why? To help gaslight senators into voting for these lunatics. Last thing. In 2011, Michael Hastings, who died 2 years later in a mysterious one-car crash, wrote a story about one of Mike Flynn's friends, Bill Caldwell, who's a general in Afghanistan. And they got busted for running psyops on senators to increase their own budget in America. Literally running you can look it up in Rolling Stone. It's not Blue Anon. I didn't write this shit. 12 years old. What we are seeing right now is the sort of grandiose version of that. The fucking entire Congress has been taken over by a bunch of propaganda that has affected these people as much as it affects the rest of us.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to say that Marcy Shore described Paul Manafort's client of 2014 as far as the Ukrainian people when they voted for him in 2010 as the gangster you know. So the gangster we know, right? And misogyny is a part of this story because Michael, in that interview, Dr. MacKay, gave us multiple examples of how the Russian propaganda worked, where all it did was push misogyny and junk on the women, never trying to say that the male candidates that they were opposing were any good. They just disparaged the woman. And in 2016, we allowed a foreign hostile mafia fucking state to assassinate Hillary Clinton on the virtual battlefield, and we did nothing about it. And look what the Romanian people are doing right now. They're like, we're not having this. They nullified their presidential election because of hybrid active measures. Look what the Georgian people are doing right now. 21 days out in the streets, courageously protesting against this Russian shit that they don't want. They want to be a part of the EU. So, and that's what happened a decade ago with the revolution of dignity.
Shout out South Korea.
Yes, shout outs. Yes. The older people who lived under these shit regimes before said, we don't want any of this. They got rid of that martial law
they
crap.
reversed January 6th, that shit.
Yes, they did. And America,
I love it so much, man. That was such a weird
Look at Brazil. Look at Brazil. Yeah. Brazil's, they're bringing people up on charges, man. Generals are getting got.
Bolsonaro, bunch of his bros. And look at France. Hey, they're arresting their tech CEOs for the crimes that are happening on their platforms. And what do I say every single week that we learned from the U.S. State Department? Foreign active measures, foreign covert influence activities are not journalism. So get off your censorship crap. That's not what this is. And I find myself very sweary right now, as if I'm
Well,
Jim. But
then you know what we're
I
gonna do?
feel.
Hold on, we're gonna do Michael MacKay
See
number
another
2.
clip.
A big
Let's do
mistake
it.
of the Brexit referendum was it was not legally binding. It was considered an advisory referendum. So although the British courts ruled that this was illegal funding, they got away with it. And it's just astonishing. And although it was not legally binding, the government at the time, the Conservative government, just said, oh, we're going to do that. We're going to do Brexit, even though it was just barely above the majority threshold. So it was just, and that was an astonishing victory for Russia to bring about Brexit. And as I said, oh, you know, Russians didn't cause that sentiment in Britain. Well, of course they didn't. That's not the way they operate. They're not that clever. Russians do not cause these catastrophes. They're not even really arsonists that set fire to things. They're the person who comes to the scene of the arson after it's already there and just pours more gasoline on it, right? That's how simple their active measures are. So, and we can see that in a place like the United States, you know, where you can say, let me see, how can they derail Black Lives Matter? I know there have been some incidents of violence, and some people write against, oh, there's been looting or rioting here and there. And all you do is just set up websites, fake web news websites, you promote the speakers, and then before you know it, it's this extreme, Black Lives Matter is this extremist movement prone to violence. And the original of the idea was about, you know, fairness of policing and things like that, totally lost, right? And you say, oh, well, the Russians didn't cause racism in America.
Of course they didn't. They don't need to. Yeah, look, everybody has racist people. And you know, it's not acceptable. But
Yeah,
you
I
got
mean,
to find a way to influence them away from that shit, man.
they're not the arsonists, but I change that even a little bit more, which is to say the Russians go around with cans of gas and, you know, and $100 bills. Of like, you know, we're not telling you to do anything, but this $100 bill says that building over there is a little bit, you know, too structurally sound, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And you know, so they what high five?
The fingers up.
I gotta say this, man. Like,
Right, go
look,
ahead and say
it's not, you know, America's like, no, it's not Russia. Look, there's this thing called the Helsinki Commission, and it's not just America saying this, right? This is Poland saying this. This is Lithuania saying this. I mean, listen to Gabrielis Landis-Burgis. This is Moldova saying this. They just busted a guy taking money to purchase influence in Moldova from Roman Abramovich, who's a UK billionaire, right? Like, why is that happening? Gee, I wonder. It's Russia fucking everywhere. Here's 150 attacks on them. Oh, and you know what they're doing? They're using billionaires to fuck with countries. And I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you voted for Biden. I don't care if you voted for Trump. Nobody fucking voted for Elon Musk.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
Right on.
This is the
Go ahead,
season
Doug.
to get pissed off. Anyway,
tis the
sorry,
season.
go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it again. All I want to see is a birth certificate that says he was born in America, so that he's eligible to be donated the presidency by somebody that he bribed to power.
Yeah. I
got to clarify something.
dream.
Oh my
It's time
God.
for everybody to be pissed off at Elon Musk. That's who I'm pissed off at. I'm not pissed off at my loved ones. I'm not pissed off at my friends, my family. No, I'm pissed off. Why is Elon Musk in the White House? I didn't. Nobody voted for him.
I mean, I have a simpler question. Why is Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Let me briefly. there should the idea that there's somebody in America with $450 billion.
Yeah.
Literally, why
It
is Elon Musk? Why is it possible for this little shit, this ugh, to come to America and defraud us out of $450 billion and then literally buy the president to the point where he fucking tweets, "I don't want this bill." It's
Why
astonishing that we
hold on,
that
hold
happens.
up, hold up. What on your point, Jim, why is he meeting with Vladimir Putin? And why is he meeting with the person running the doppelganger operation? And why is he taking money from the Saudis and
Or
the Russians
shutting
to
down
buy
We're shutting
Twitter?
down
To buy
Starlink
Twitter.
in over the Black
Yeah.
Sea, or or psyoping America into suicide.
I'm looking at a list of 22 countries that have endured what we've endured, and I'm looking at a lot braver people in countries like Moldova. But referendum, just like we were describing with Brexit, same shit happened in the Netherlands, same year, 2016. It was a very busy year. So yeah, I'm gonna say it. We're woke on this show, so I recommend people wake the fuck up because yeah, we're woke on this show.
I'm not
And by the
woke,
way,
I'm
happy
high.
holidays.
We're metal woke.
Hold on. I do want to say one thing. We've been through a lot together. It's been quite a journey, and I just want to give a loving shout out to all the people who have stood by RadPod, supported us, ignored all the digital stalkers, and said, no, those 3 people, are worth supporting. I want to thank you so much. We could not. I don't think I would have personally been able to make it without all of your kindness, and that goes to Jim and Hi-Fi too. It's like you guys. Those kind words of support have meant a lot to me. This has been a rough frickin' road. We lost this most recent battle. It's gnarly. We still have a few weeks to demand from our president to grow a frickin' spine and do what Michael MacKay is going to tell him to do right now.
Hi-Fi.
The Helsinki Commission recently released a report on Russia's shadow war and identified 150 different operations, as you see here. Quite a few in the United States, obviously. What is keeping Biden from acting?
Nothing. Nothing is keeping him from acting. He has a duty to defend the United States. It is actually his first duty.
Yes.
It's his first duty, and nothing is stopping it other than just a failure of vision to realize what's going on and how the catastrophe is here. People say things like, oh, you need Congress to declare war or something. And so, no, you simply just say this is what's happening. Russia is at war. This is the nature of the war. These are the campaigns of the war. And it also puts Trump in a box about where he stands in all this kind of thing. Why he doesn't do it even just for
Just political expediency. That's all it would frickin' take. Hey, Joe, step up if you're listening. I mean, come on, man.
He's pretty much said out loud, like he's more committed to than anything else, for some reason, is the peaceful transition of power. A peaceful transition of power to whatever the hell this is. Again, I just have to say, when you're transferring power to a violent, foreign-backed fifth column, there's nothing peaceful about what you're doing. Yeah. So if you're making the calculation that doing the right thing is not worth it, then at least be a little bit honest with us. Talk to us. Where the hell is where are anybody? Where is Kamala or Tim? I haven't seen them at all. And honestly, I find that the whole LARP of we're doing this the right way. in the face of this ugliness is just
Right.
very disheartening. And there is a bit of silver lining. I have to say one thing. 38 Republicans voted against the updated CR that the Republicans they said they negotiated it. We're done. We did it. We negotiated a new CR, and it was just amongst themselves, and it wasn't amongst enough at all. So the thing people need to realize is this they're going to have one vote in the next Congress, one between Democratic control and Republican control. There is going to be zero margin for error, and they will never in 100 billion zillion years get all 220 of their lunatics in line at the same time. So Hakeem Jeffries so far, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, has been pretty metal, has been pretty much like, no, you own this shit. This is you. We're not giving you a thing. And I'm just going to say it one more time. We have got to understand this is war and not give a goddamn inch to these people.
Right on. Right on. Word. And what Heidi wants for Christmas is for all of you to reach out to President Joe Biden and tell him very easily now to say the United States supports the immediate admission of Ukraine to NATO. Other countries have done it. No reason why. We are not in peace. We are in war. Second,
Russia is a terrorist state.
All restrictions on the use of weapons are lifted for Ukraine. Let the Ukraine decide how to defend its country. We love you, Ukraine. We love you so much. And you know what? Declare, as Jim just said, Russia a terrorist state and help some of the smaller countries defend their integrity as they try to get moved toward the EU and away from Russia. That's all we want for Christmas. Love you guys.
I mean, the thing is, right? People say, "Oh, they'll just reverse that." Okay, let them. Right? Yeah. Like Joe Biden gave Zelensky the ability to send attackers into Russia. They're very mad about it, but it had an effect. So did the attack on Kirillov. Yeah. Anything that Joe Biden does, right? He will have to actively reverse it. He will have to make the affirmative statement. I don't want Zelensky to have weapons to fire at Putin. I don't want I don't think Russia is a terrorist state. I think they're nice. I get along with Putin. He needs to say it. He needs to just fucking calm out with it. And the way that the Democrats need to behave is let him. Yeah. Let them tell on themselves. Stop being afraid of putting yourself out there, because they're going to do what they're going to do anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Put as much sand in the gears as you possibly can, because this is just a war of attrition.
That's right.
It's whether these guys are going to be able to finalize the controlled demolition of this country or not.
That's right. Join the monkey wrench gang. That's what we're doing. Sand in the gears, gumming up the works, pushing truth in this time of mass and grave deception. All right, you guys. Here we go. That's our show. Amazing. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all the things. Deep Thoughts with Hi-Fi coming right now.
Here's your final gifts, people. If you have loved ones who went the Trump direction, that's fine, whatever. But I don't remember any of us saying that Elon Musk was going to run our government.
That's right.
And here's the thing. We know for a fact that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel got backed up by a dead Russian gangster named Sergei Grishin. Hold on, I'm not done. I'm not done.
You got to get GiveSend going here.
Huh.
No, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is tell your loved ones, hey, nobody voted for Elon. Elon's connected to this dead fucking Russian gangster. And that's how he got all his money. So, like, what are we doing? We've got a guy directly connected to a dead Russian gangster. This isn't about Trump and Russia, Russia, Russia. This is about a guy in our White House who's not elected, who's directly Russia, Russia, Russia.
Thank you,
Right?
Hi-Fi. Beautifully put.
And I would just like to point out that, you know, Donald Trump did see this coming because he signed something called Executive Order 13848.
A high five.
And it's
Don't go down this road, man. This is a long.
right.
That's a long.
It's a long road.
Don't start that fucking.
That was
All
just a little stocking stuffer from High Fidelity.
Hold on, but the final thing is, everyone should call the White House. There's a comments number right there. Wish them a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever everybody's celebrating. Let's celebrate. It's that time of year. But also, why doesn't Joe Biden do something about Elon Musk's foreign interference? Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah.
Merry
Let's
Christmas.
push it.
Ho
Thank
See
you
you
guys.
soon.
Ho, ho, ho.